Hi, fourth graders, it's Miss Escamilla. Today, your homework will consist of solving multi-step division problems. Um, and what I wanted to let you know as you are working on your homework tonight, and you'll also see this in our examples that we do together online, is that when you're solving multi-step division problems, it's very likely that you are going to be dividing and also performing another operation. So that means you might have to add something first and then get the total and divide it up. It could be that you need to subtract something first and then get the answer and divide that up. It might be that you have to divide first and then add something up. Just know that there could be a combination of different operations that you will need to use in addition to dividing. So let's take a look at our first problem. In our first problem, it's about Lucia. Lucia and her dad will prepare corn for a community picnic. There are 3 bags of corn. Each bag holds 32 ears of corn. When the corn is cooked, they want to divide the corn equally among 8 serving plates. How many ears of corn should they put on each of 8 serving plates? Okay, so what I know this problem about it, I know it's about Lucia and her dad, and they're making corn for a picnic. They have 3 bags of corn, and every one of those bags holds 32 ears of corn. And then when they're done cooking them, they're going to divide all that corn up among 8 serving plates. So we want to find out how many ears of corn should be put on each of the 8 serving plates. So what do I need to find? I need to find the number of ears of corn that will go on each plate. Well, what information am I given? Well, we're told that they have 3 bags of corn and that every bag has 32 ears of corn in it in each bag. And then so the total ears are going to be divided equally into 8 groups because there will be 8 serving plates. So my plan is that to make a strip diagram for each step and use equations as well. And then I will multiply to find the total and then divide to find the number for each plate. So my first step is going to be to multiply the 3 bags with the 32 ears of corn because there are 32 ears of corn in each one of those 3 bags, which tells me we need to multiply to find the total number of ears of corn there are, and then divide that number to find the number for each plate, because we're taking all of that corn and separating it onto 8 different plates. And we talked about how separation, anytime you're separating something up, it's division. So let's do that. So I can draw a strip diagram and use equations and then decide how to find how many ears of corn should go on a plate. So first, I'm going to draw a long strip, okay? And I'm going to break it into 3 equal parts to represent the 3 different bags of corn. Then I know that there are 32 ears of corn in each bag, so I'm going to label each one of these rectangles with a number 32. Okay, and since we see 32 3 different times, that tells us that we could multiply 32 by 3 to get E, which is going to be the total number of ears of corn. So if I do 32 by 3, if I want to multiply that, I get 96. So we know that there are 96 ears of corn. Now we want to take those ears of corn, though, and separate them onto 8 serving plates, okay, equally, which means we should be dividing. So the next strip diagram shows an entire strip that's been broken into 8 separate parts to represent the 8 separate plates, okay? And then it's labeled with a total of 96 because that represents the number of ears of corn that we have that needs to be divided into the 8 plates or onto the 8 plates. So we're going to take 96 and divide it by 8. And if I do that, I'm going to use my long division. 8 times 1 gives me 8. I subtract that, I get 1. I bring down my 6. 8 times 2 gives me 16. When I subtract that, I get 0, so I don't have a remainder. So that means my answer is 12. Okay, and the question that's being asked of us is, well, how many ears of corn should go on each plate? Well, 12 ears of corn should go on each plate. Okay, how can you check your answer? Well, I could multiply 12 times 8 because that's the inverse operation of division. And that gives me 96, which was what we originally, our dividend in our division problem, which is what we started with. So that would be an example, one example of how you could use strip diagrams to represent this problem. Keep in mind that we are not using the strip diagrams to actually solve the problem, because you can solve this problem just by performing the multiplication and division equations. You don't have to have the strip diagrams to solve the problem. But the learning standard, guys, is that we need to be able to know which strip diagrams could represent that problem. So not only do you need to know how to solve this problem, you have to know and be able to identify strip diagrams that would correspond with the problem in question. Okay, so there's our first example. In our second example, we have a problem in which there are 8 dinner rolls in a package. How many packages will be needed to feed 64 people if each person has 2 dinner rolls? Okay, so what is it that we need to find? Well, this is what we need to find. How many packages will be needed to feed 64 people if each person has 2 dinner rolls? Okay, and just for time purposes, I'm not going to write all that down. I don't want to waste your time, but I'm just going to underline it and draw an arrow to show. That is what we need to find. How many packages of dinner rolls are we going to need to buy to feed 64 people if every one of those person has 2 dinner rolls? Okay, so what information am I given? Well, we know that there's 8 dinner rolls in a package. We know that. We know that there's going to be 64 people eating. But we also know that every one of those people are going to eat 2 dinner rolls. They're hungry. Okay, so my plan first, when I think about how many packages of dinner rolls I'm going to need to buy, well, I need to think about how many dinner rolls those people are going to eat. Because I know when I go grocery shopping, I don't just throw random things in my cart. I think about how much food me and my 2 sons are going to eat, and I buy just enough to feed us. Okay, so in this problem, I know that there are 64 people that are going to eat, but they're each going to have 2 dinner rolls. So that tells me I probably need to multiply these 2 numbers to determine how many dinner rolls they're going to need first. Okay, then once I have that total amount, I know that every package has 8 dinner rolls in it, which tells me I can divide that amount by 8 to find out how many packages to buy. So my plan is to multiply first and then to divide. Okay, so if I were to draw a strip diagram, what I would do first is I would draw a long strip diagram. This is going to represent the number of people we have and the fact that they're each eating 2 dinner rolls, which is going to tell me the total number of dinner rolls we need. So I know that each person's going to get 2 dinner rolls. So this is going to represent the 2 dinner rolls that every person gets. And there's 64 people. Okay, so if I combine these 2 together, I could do 64 plus 64 to determine how many dinner rolls we're going to have, but I'm going to use multiplication because I know that if I see 64 2 times, that's the same thing as 64 times 2. So I'm going to do 64 times 2, and I know in my head that 60 plus 60 is 120. 4 plus 4 is 8, so I know that's 128. Okay, so that represents all the dinner rolls that we have. All of this. So there's 128 dinner rolls, but I also know that there are 8 come in a package. Okay, so I'm going to take that 128 and I'm going to divide that by 8. And I'm going to go ahead and draw another strip diagram in which the whole thing represents our 128 dinner rolls, and the diagram is divided into 8 equal parts to represent the 8 rolls that are in each package. Okay, so I'm going to take 128 and I'm going to divide that number by 8, which, because there are 8 dinner rolls in each package. So 128 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 1, but it can go into 12 one time. 8 times 1 is 8. 12 minus 8 is 4. Bring down my 8. 48 divided by 8 is 6. 6 times 8 is 48, which is a difference of 0, no remainder. So my answer is 16. 16. Okay, so that means we are going to, if I were to take, 16 would go in each one of these. Oops, sorry. Okay, which means that I'm going to need to buy 16 packages of dinner rolls in order to feed everybody. And I'm going to check that. If I buy 16 packages of dinner rolls, and I know there's 8 in each one, I'm going to multiply that. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. That gives me 128 dinner rolls. And that's exactly the number of dinner rolls we said we needed to buy when we knew that there were 64 people each eating 2 dinner rolls apiece. So that means we did the division correctly. So the answer to this problem would be, well, how many packages of rolls will be needed? 16. 16 will be needed. Okay, so when you're doing your homework today, read carefully. It could be that you're going to need to add something first and then divide that. It could be, or it could be that you need to subtract something first and then divide. It could be that you need to multiply something first and then divide. You have to decide that as you're looking at your problems. So in the first problem, it says 5 friends are going to share the cost of 2 gifts. One gift costs $39 and the other gift costs $26. What is each person's share of the cost? Okay, so they're buying 2 gifts and they're going to take that total cost and share it among 5 friends. So how could you solve that problem? Okay, how could you draw a strip diagram that represents the total cost of the gifts? How could you draw a strip diagram to represent taking that total cost and sharing it among 5 friends? Okay, and then on the second problem, Justin collected 26 shells, Amy collected 31 shells, Jose collected 21 shells. If they share all the shells equally, how many shells will each person get? Okay, so if they're going to share all of these shells, how could you draw a strip diagram to represent that they are going to take all of these shells, all of them, and share them first? And then they're going to, how could you draw a strip diagram to represent all of these shells together? And then how could you draw a strip diagram to show that they're going to share them amongst each other? Okay, so how are they going to share those equally amongst each other? Okay, so good luck with your homework. Try your hardest. We will check it tomorrow in class. If you have any questions, please email me. If you don't understand something and you comment to this video, I cannot reply to your comment. Email me and I will email you back. All right, bye.